Hey guys, I'm inside what we were calling our future milking parlor. We're probably gonna have to do a name change on it soon, but more on that later. The reason why I'm in here right now is because it is really windy outside, so this is kind of buffering some of the wind sound right now, so you can hear me a little bit better. With all that wind that we're getting, it brought with it a lot of smoke. Check this out. Sorry about the wind noise, but I just wanted to illustrate. Normally behind me right now you'd see really big mountain ranges, really beautiful, but you can't see anything right now. It's just all smoke. Our visibility is just a few hundred feet before it's just white, and the air quality is miserable. I mean, it stinks out here. I feel really badly for the animals who are out here all day long and can't get away from it. At least I can go inside where it's not as bad. In the house, also smells smoky, but not nearly as bad. This is coming from all the regional forest fires we have, the wildfires. They're in British Columbia to the north of us, they're in Montana to our east, Washington to our west, and there are some further south in the panhandle of Idaho as well that are just starting. We don't have any that are in our immediate surroundings, so we're not in an imminent threat of fire right now, but that is always a possibility where we are. We don't get hurricanes here, we don't get tornadoes here, we can get an earthquake here just like anywhere else, but our real threat is the wildfire. Last year this wasn't really a concern for us at all because we had such a cool, mild summer. It was a moist summer. There wasn't a single forest fire on the whole region as far as I know of, but this year has been different. We've had a very hot and dry summer. It hasn't rained since I think the beginning of June, and we're in September now. It hasn't rained with any significance, I should say. We've had I think 2 days where we've gotten like a real quick, like super light, 2-minute shower and then it moved on. But all this smoke has really prompted us to start thinking about a fire evacuation plan. I first started thinking about the other folks who are being affected right now, wondering those with livestock, what are they doing in order to mitigate their damages, and what are they doing if they have to evacuate? Where are they going to go? How are they going to do that with their animals? Then I asked probably an even more important question, which was, what if the fire comes here and we have to evacuate? I've been looking intermittently, real casually on Craigslist over the last few months for just a small livestock trailer, like a 2-horse trailer, something old. I'm trying to find something in the $500 to $1,000 range. Most of the things I'm finding in that range are ones that aren't really functional anymore. They need a lot of repair. I'm not looking for something like that. I need something that's still functional. So I may have to go above that in dollar amount. The need for something like that has become much more obvious in a situation like this. If we had to evacuate, we don't have a livestock trailer at all to move any of the animals out. I could put Blue in the back of the pickup truck, and Ashley asked me, well, what would we do? And the only thought that came to mind really was start dismantling this thing right here, get the cattle panels out of it, and build a little cage real quick to put on our trailer and in the bed of the pickup truck, and try to get a few of our sheep in there. Ashley, of course, being really tender on the chickens, she wants to throw our small chicken tractor, our little one that we made last year, and put that in a trailer with some chickens in, as many as we can get in. My preference is to focus on the sheep. I think the pigs would be out of luck. We would try to grab Clara, maybe a couple of the piglets, but those bigger hogs, they would not be manageable in this kind of situation. I'm afraid they would have to stay. And sadly, I don't think Penny would be able to make it either. So that's why we really need to step up our plans with a livestock trailer so we could be able to fit more of these guys in there and be able to transport them more easily. And then that takes us to the next question, which is where do we go? And it's really hard to plan a lot ahead of time because we don't know where the fire's coming. And I remember 2 summers ago, before we were homesteading, we were still living in town, and we had a really bad fire season. It was definitely worse than this. We were pretty much surrounded in all directions by the fire. I don't mean like a 10-minute drive and we'd be hitting the fire, but essentially there were fires in all directions around us to some degree, where if we had to leave our area, we pretty much had to drive through fire to get out of it no matter what. That was not a good situation, obviously. So it's hard to plan where you're gonna go if you don't know where the fires are. Obviously it's a really good idea to have multiple plans, but how far do you need to go to get away from the fires, and are you getting closer to another fire by leaving the one that's near you? It's kind of complicated. So we started thinking about different places where we could go. The fire that a lot of this is blowing in from right now, I believe, is in Libby, Montana, which isn't terribly far from here. But so assuming that it would be coming from that direction, we were kind of thinking about which way to go and which farmers we could talk to that would allow us to bring our animals there. But the thought of it all is a little bit unsettling, the thought to have to pack up your animals like that and travel with them and hope that someone else can take you. So what I'm doing now is I'm starting to reach out to some of these other folks and basically offer a mutual aid agreement. If you guys need to come here, if we're not under threat and you are opening our gates and letting folks come here, and vice versa, if we're under threat and you guys aren't, maybe we can come there. Just a mutual aid agreement there. I really don't have this other grand super plan in place. I'm just kind of throwing these ideas out here right now, hopefully to encourage the folks who are getting into this lifestyle. If you're not homesteading yet or farming yet and you're working towards that, this is something to think about, especially if you're in a fire-prone area, to have an evacuation plan in mind and somewhere to go and a procedure in which you'll follow in order to effect the evacuation. And then also, the more experienced folks out there, I'd love to hear from you guys. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your evacuation plan is, or if you've had to do this before. Maybe you guys can have some insight into how you went about it, or just any advice in general on how to make it a smoother process. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. The other update I wanted to give you guys was on the Dexter family milk cow. I've been getting a lot of questions. Hey, when are you getting your Dexter cow? And I've also got questions from people who were thinking that we were no longer getting her because we just haven't gotten her yet. So here is the story with that. The Dexter cow we were gonna buy was this beautiful red Dexter. In addition to her being a really nice cow, easy to work with, good disposition, she is an experienced milker, so this was a really big criteria for us. I did not want to have to be training a cow how to milk while I'm trying to learn how to milk myself. Not a good combination. So the red Dexter, she checked all the boxes, but then we had her tested, her milk beta casein protein tested. We need a cow that has A2 beta casein protein. Our son, little buddy, he has A1 casein intolerance, so a cow that produces an A1 beta casein protein can give him problems and would defeat the whole point of us getting the cow. Quite sadly, we had red tested, and the test results came back indicating that she's A1, A2, meaning she produces part A1 milk and part A2. Again, with the A1 in there, that was kind of a deal breaker for us. Our friend Katie, from whom we were purchasing the Dexter, started looking for other options for us. She had a couple other cows that were in milk and would be potentially a good fit for us that weren't experienced milkers, but we worked out a deal to where if they came back and tested positive for A2, Katie would start training them to be milkers. Well, we got testing back. On the first one we tested, she's an A2, and we were excited. We were going to move ahead, but Katie's schedule has some conflicts in it. She has to halter train and then milk train this cow, and she said that it's going to take her quite a while before she has the time in her schedule to start working with that cow. She let me know this yesterday, that it probably was going to be a little while. So given that we're quickly approaching fall, and by the time we'd be getting this cow, we wouldn't have her very long before we would be drying her up for the winter, and it would be a long time before she calved and freshened again, where we'd be getting milk. Ashley and I agreed that we will not be getting the family milk cow. It's just getting too late in the year, and us not being able to find another Dexter that had milking experience was kind of a deal breaker for us. But it's not all bad news. Katie did offer to refund us our deposit that we put down. Instead of taking the refund on the deposit, I asked Katie if we could just get one of her steers that she was selling for the same price as we paid for the deposit, and she said absolutely. So we're going to be getting a Dexter yearling steer. It would have been born last summer, and though it could be harvested this fall for beef, if we let it go another season, it's going to give us a lot more fat on it. It's going to have a lot more size, and you know, just that fuller brisket. So unless something goes really wrong and we really need some beef right away, we're going to hold off and probably use this for our beef for next fall. Though we're really disappointed about not getting the family milk cow, I can't tell you like how mentally prepared I was for this. Obviously we had a little ways to go, getting a little more physically prepared, but I was really bought into the idea of getting the cow and getting our dairy needs met finally. I was really excited about it, so I'm really disappointed that we're not getting her right now, but I think it's really cool we're still getting a Dexter steer. That would be really neat. So we're going to get a little bit of experience working with a bovine before fully jumping into dairy, so that might be a good thing. We're going to get some really good beef next year. I first thought that this would probably not be a good idea with just getting the steer, because it would be by itself. It'd be the only member of the bovine family on the homestead. But my thought is I will just treat it like a sheep. It will be in with the sheep, it will graze with the sheep, eat and drink with the sheep, that it will bond with the sheep, and really it's not going to be that much bigger than the sheep. This is a yearling Dexter steer, so it's just kind of like having a big sheep in there anyway, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a conflict. If it is, if the yearling steer is not happy, then we will just have extra beef this year. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this up. The smoke smell is really getting to me. I've got to go back inside, try to get a little less smoky air to breathe. But again, I just want you guys to think about wildfire evacuations. If you're in an area where that is an issue for you, which really could be anywhere in the country. I remember when we lived in Atlanta, we had a lot of smoke come through once from fire, so it really can happen anywhere. Leave some comments below about your experience or your thoughts on an evacuation plan if you have such a plan in place. And future homesteaders and farmers out there, read some of these comments and try to take some of this in. I really hope we can all learn from it, because not having a plan in place for this could be quite disastrous if you find yourself in an evacuation zone.